One man on an island, one drop in the sea. All it takes to set a wave in motion is a single word in action, a hope that we can be the change that we've been longing to see. For our home, our land, our family, it's all within our reach. See this island, every grain of sand, hear this anthem. It's the voices of our friends. Come whatever, on the road ahead, we did it before, and we'll do it again.
When the moments turn to hours and the day's last light is gone, look around us always and remember there were times we were uncertain, but we just kept walking on. It's always darkest just before the dawn. See this island, every grain of sand, hear this anthem. It's the voices of our friends. Come whatever, on the road ahead, we did it before, and we'll do it again.
Our home, the home we share, where the garden always grows to earth and light. Though the road ahead is daunting, I know we're gonna be alright.
See this island, every grain of sand, hear this anthem. It's the voices of our friends. Come whatever, on the road ahead, we did it before, and we'll do it again.
See this island, every grain of sand, hear this anthem.
It's the voices of our friends.
Come whatever,
On the road ahead, we did it before, and we'll do it again.
Hey, good evening, everybody. What a wonderful Wednesday it has been so far. Love the weather, and that's one of the reasons why I get to wear my little pullover, a little sweater. It's nice and cool right now. It's been a long time since I've gotten to wear my pullover since travels are not happening. Hello, how are you guys doing? Hope all of you are doing A-okay. For those of you who just join us for the very first time, I'd like to say a big welcome. My name is Ross. It's a great pleasure to have all of you on board in the Geylang-Serai virtual CC. It has been, how many episodes already? I think it's episode 13 now, yeah? We've been together for the past 13 Wednesdays. And I'm sure you guys, for those of you who are always with me on every Wednesday evening, Really appreciate you supporting. And also, kudos, big shout out to our friends from Geylang Serai CC for having this since the start of the COVID-19 situation back in 2020, which was only last year. But it has been non-stop, featuring activities, shows, as well as events done virtually right here on the Facebook live stream page. Well done, Geylang Serai CC. Good job. Okay, anyway, so for those of you who has just joined us, and if you're wondering what the show is all about, it's about an hour of, all things sports and all things lifestyle, where we talk about, events that is happening here in Singapore. Most of it are going virtual. So, I'll be highlighting to you some of the events week after week. That is one segment of the show, which I always start in the very beginning. And then after that, it'll be my guest who's going to be taking over. We're going to have a little chit chat. We talk about, the sporting as well as the lifestyle. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very honored, very privileged to have with me a very good friend of mine. We can be considered as childhood friends. And we'll talk about mental wellness. We talk about resilience. We talk about being optimistic, especially during these times. So we'll get to that later on. All right? So in the meantime, before we start, I'll just like to say, before that, Friday is Teachers' Day. Yay! So happy Teachers' Day to all our educators, our teachers, all right? Coaches, sport coaches as well, and trainers, yeah? You can be considered, to be part of the teaching fraternity. So to all of you, happy Teachers' Day. A big shout out to Wifey, who's been a teacher for the past 25 years, yes, and to all of my friends who are teachers as well. Happy Teachers' Day. We appreciate the things that you have done, the sacrifices that you have made, to all our young ones, our teenagers, and to all our adult educators as well. I'm being one of them. I have become an adult educator about a few months ago. So to all our educators and to all our teachers, happy Teachers' Day. So if you are a teacher and you are logged into our live stream, feel free to write in on the chat field, all right? And then just say happy Teachers' Day, all right? Okay. I'll be checking on the chat function and the comment section time to time. And it will be great if you were to drop me a line and also drop my guest a line as well when he comes on in the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. All right? So once again, happy Teachers' Day, guys. Okay. Good. Let's go. We're going to start off with the usual events that you might fancy. There you go. All right. So some of the events that I will be showcasing, all right, it's already started. Even, sometimes some of it, the registration has already started, and that's the reason why I would like to feature it here. All right. So there's so many other events that's happening in Singapore. Most of it, like I said, will be done virtually, but there are some with a blended approach or a hybrid approach. Okay, and once I get wind of that, of those events, I will definitely make it a point to feature it here. Okay, in the meantime, I want to show you a little slide. I'm going to ask you a question. All right, so while we go through some of the events that I have in store for you to be featured, I want you to write down on the chat feature or the comment section and answer this question. All right. The question is, what do you miss most since lifestyle and sports events have been, put at a pause mode, all right? Or it has gone virtual or in a blended approach, but it doesn't kind of like feel what it used to be pre-COVID season or pre-COVID times. So I want to find out a little bit more about how you feel about it, all right? And what do you miss most since all these events have gone into a little hibernation mode since March 2020. So right now it's August. It has been what? Oh my God, it's like 18 months or so that we've seen any actual events that's happening. All right, especially the running events and especially the sporting events as well. It has taken a little bit of a change or a little bit of a pivot, but you know, definitely when I talk to some of my friends who have taken part, you know, in all these sporting and lifestyle events over the years, they've always said to me one thing, you know, it's so different when you do it virtually. But I just want to find out, what do you miss most since, you know, the lifestyle and sports events have been, you know, paused? Okay, right. So write down your comments, all right, at any time, all right, and I'll read it out. And then I just want to find out, I'm a little bit kepo lah. Okay, so first event that I would like to feature before I bring on my guest tonight is this. Yeah. So if you have a child or any children in your family between the ages of 7 to 11, 7-Eleven, we always welcome. Yeah, 7 to 11 during the September school holidays, which is just around the corner, right? I think it's going to be another 2 weeks or so before we hit to the September school holidays. There is this event which is called Young Naturalists, the Alpha Mind Outdoor Classroom Series. It is on, all right, during the September holidays. Time frame is from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon, right? So this is a program where you get, well, the kids get to walk in the shoes of Sir Alfred Wallace, right? History's most underrated naturalist, who contributed greatly to the understanding of flora as well as fauna and the theory of evolution that we know today. For those of you who frequents the Bukit Timah Hill, you might find the name familiar because there is a trail, right, which is named after him. It's called the Wallace Trail. So that belongs, well, the name, you know, comes from Sir Alfred Wallace. Okay. So in this program, right, the classroom series, which is called Young Naturalists, kids will get to walk in Wallace's footsteps. Participants will learn journaling techniques, identify and collect specimens, learn useful adjectives for describing the things that they see, and polish up the presentation skills. So that it involves that as well, and I love it. The presentation skills for a child aged between 7 to 11 is so crucial. It builds up their confidence. It builds up their smooth flow in their oratorical skills. Okay, so presentation skills is included in this. So this is something which you might want to take part in. All right. So the program is, like I mentioned, suitable for children aged 7 to 11. The workshop is approximately 3.5 hours, all right? And go to the website, which you can find at the bottom of the screen, all right? It's thealphamind.com, or you can also log into their Facebook page, which is facebook.com/thealphamind, and find out a little bit more. You need to register, all right? Remember, it's during the September holidays. Okay? All right. Ooh, I've got a comment by my boy, my son, who's 12 years old. Unfortunately, he can't take part. He's too old to take part in the Young Naturalist. He's a bit too old. He says, live bands? Oh, okay. Yes, you missed the live bands. Oh, okay. So we asked the question earlier on, what do you miss most, all right? Since the lifestyle and sports events have been paused. Yes, the live band, and I'm sure that was put in by my wife, okay? We love watching live bands. Okay, right, next. Wow, this is another event. Not many people know about this because it has just been launched some 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. This is the Yellow Ribbon Virtual Run 2021. Ta-da! Website is there. log on to find out more details. The Yellow Ribbon Virtual Run.sg. Now, the Yellow Ribbon Run is back this year with an inaugural virtual edition. Like I mentioned earlier on, everything, I won't say everything, but most events in Singapore for the past 1.5 years have gone virtual. So join them, in raising awareness and funds for the Yellow Ribbon Fund by signing up and running your own Yellow Ribbon route wherever you are. We look forward to your continuous support to challenge yourself and inspire second chances. All right? The Yellow Ribbon Project is a national campaign aimed at giving ex-offenders a second chance in life. There are 2 categories in which you can take part and contribute and show your support in the Yellow Ribbon Fund. The first category, let's see whether I have that. Yep. The first category, as you can see on your screen now, is the Yellow Ribbon Inspire category. Right? It's where you complete at least 1 kilometer of run. Right? Sorry, at least one. There's no minimum actually, but just for the fun of it, at least 1 kilometer of run, walk, or hike of any distance. Okay, like I mentioned, any distance, but it's best that you complete 1 kilometer at least. The shape of a yellow ribbon in a single activity within the run period. And to show your support, you may submit as many yellow ribbon routes as you want. The next category is the Yellow Ribbon Challenge. Now, this has got a distance of 60 kilometers. Okay? You may opt to complete the 60 kilometer in one giant yellow ribbon route or accumulate the distance with up to 5 either run, walks, or hikes. So the choice is yours. You are at liberty to choose whether you want to run, you walk, or you hike. Now, every run, walk, or hike should be in the shape of a yellow ribbon. Okay? Now, that is one thing that's interesting. Remember, there were times when, I saw it on my Facebook feed and my Instagram. People are posting the lion route, the picture of a lion, the outline of the lion, the Singapore lion, right? The emblem. So this goes along with that kind of idea. And to show you an example, now I've taken this off from their website. There you go. It's not the best quality of all, but you get the picture, right? All you need to do is to get your mates, or you can do it on your own. You can get your buddies, your whole family, and track your run and try to draw, all right, while running, while walking, while hiking, this symbol, which is the yellow ribbon symbol. On the left is one, and on the right is the other example. All right? Okay, registration period for the Yellow Ribbon Run is on right now from the 21st of August. Yeah, so that's about a week and a half ago, right? And then it goes on till the 24th of September, and the run period starts today. So which means that you can start clocking in and getting your ribbon symbol, your yellow ribbon symbol in, and start clocking from the 1st of September to the 30th of September. Next slide is where I show you the run entitlements. All right? So there you have it. And I think this is, I don't see the brand, I don't see many runs giving out Puma t-shirt. The last one I remember was I took part in the Puma night run. That was about 4 years ago, where Puma had their own run, and it was held in Sentosa at night. And this time around, the organizers for the Yellow Ribbon Run has partnered with Puma, all right, and provided the run entitlements there, and you'll get that Puma t-shirt. Interesting, right? 2 designs for you to choose from depending on which category you go for. The yellow one is for the Yellow Run Inspire, and the black and yellow, well, the majority of black, 60 kilometer will be for the Yellow Run Challenge. All right? And on top of that, you'll get a sports pouch and an eco bag, as well as this is good, a crochet medal. And these medals are made by the inmates themselves. How cool is that? That's one sure way of showing your support to, the Yellow Ribbon Fund. Interested? Go ahead and sign up. Log on to yellowribbonvirtualrun.sg. All right, good. Okay, let's come back to me, please. Thank you very much. Hey, any comments? Write it down on the comment section. I'm going to be introducing our next guest. But before that, just want to say a few things. Ladies and gentlemen, like it or not, the past 18 months have been very trying, all right? For many of us, especially if we are the sort of person, if you are just like me, who thrives on always being connected with people to do the activities like sporting activities or any other activities with friends, or even taking part in mass participation events in Singapore, all around the world for that matter. So it is made more challenging when some of us are being forced to put our career on hold due to the impact of COVID-19. Now, if any of these, sometimes these things happen to many of us. If you're watching it right now, if you find suddenly you feel yourself feeling dejected, feeling a bit nervous during these times, feeling unfulfilled, or even slowly feeling depression kicking in, if all this resonates with you, I sincerely hope that you may want to stick around and stay tuned for the next half an hour or so and be with us as our next guest will speak on that. And you know what? I do believe in this philosophy. Healthy body equals healthy mind, right? And not only is it important for us to power up ourselves physically, but there is also a need, an importance for us to power ourselves up mentally, all right, in our mind. Right, our next guest is Dr. Granville D'Souza. He is the Group CEO of EQ World Private Limited. He does developmental coaching that deals with deeper emotional issues caused from past programming. And these include trauma, loss of motivation, anger, mild depression, phobias, acute fear, and all that. So, he has, for the last 24 years, been helping individuals, organizations as well, to approach their strengths and their weaknesses through coaching and facilitative workshops that deal with individual behavior and team behavior. So, ladies and gentlemen, if all of you are ready, let's meet our guests for tonight right after this short video. Let's take a look. So far, welcome on board, Dr. Granville D'Souza.
Hi there. Thanks for having me here. Good evening, everyone.
Well, it's great pleasure to have you on board. Thank you very much for doing this for us
You're most welcome.
under short notice.
Uh-huh.
Circumstances sometimes will definitely have to force you to do some things which are beyond your control. But you answered my call, and
Well, I'm more free, man. There's no work.
what do you mean no work?
No,
You've
there's
been
work,
busy.
there's work, yeah. I've
You've
been
been
quite
busy.
busy. Yeah,
All
that's
right.
true.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see right over there, Dr. Granville D'Souza. He's you've been in this industry for 24 years, haven't you?
24 years, that's right. So I started in 96. That would be what, 25 years? So this will be the 25th year. I've been doing training, and I must admit it's been very fulfilling until 2 years ago when I had to start doing the same kind of work from home.
Right.
So,
Right. So I got another picture of you training. All right. 24 years you've done this. Okay, but we're gonna talk about work later on. We're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna leave it to later. In the meantime, I just want to find out a little bit more about you. So what have you been up to lately so far in the past maybe a month or so?
okay, well, first of all, trying to be a bit more busy, right? There's been, I think last year was quite a challenging year, right? It was a challenging year for all of us, and no different for me. But this year I decided, you know what, let me try and maximize the funds from the government, right? And so I managed to get a quite okay contract from the government. So that has been keeping me busy on the work front. But I've also found as a result of that, I've not been able to do the kind of exercise I used to do before. So routinely, I used to play badminton a lot, right? And then it had to stop as a result of circumstances where, I think the COVID period basically affected 2 different periods where we could not play badminton for about at least 2 months each. And so that was really very difficult because, when you get into a routine and then suddenly you can't do the things you are so used to doing. And so one day, and I don't sleep much, by the way, I sleep usually at about, say, 1 o'clock, and I get up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 a.m. And I realized one day I was just looking to the sky and I was thinking, God, I just need to get out of this house. And then I realized I had a bike in my room.
Yes. In fact, you had another bike last time.
Let's not talk about that bike because I believe it's in your house.
Yes. I'm the kind of guy
Okay.
who, you call me opportunist.
That's right.
Yeah. So
So-
whenever he buys something and after a few months he doesn't use it anymore, I'm the one. I'm like a vulture. I'll just swoop down and say, okay, I'll get it from you at the cheapest price, and then I'll take it.
He says
Okay.
cheapest. Actually, I get a pretty good deal. So why not? All my second-hand stuff, I'll just pass it
So
to
you have a bike.
That's right. Yeah.
And what do you do with the bike?
So, the thing is, just across from me, there's a reservoir, the Pandan Reservoir. And it's, I think, if I'm not wrong, it's 6.5 clicks, right? So when I got cycling, initially I used to do my walk. So I'll do one walk and that's like 6.5, then going there is 1.5, so it's about 8 clicks. So I realized, hey, if I do 3 rounds, that would be 8 times 3, 24 clicks. And that would take about 1.5 hours. So that has been great exercise.
Right.
Right, so that's my routine. I do that about 3 times a week. I start at 5:30 and that's the best time to do exercise. You know why? There's no one.
Okay.
No one at all except the turtles and the and the lizards. God, there's tons of lizards
Monitor
there in the reservoir.
lizards.
Monitor lizards, right? There's huge ones. So yeah, they're hanging around you, sort of pacing with you, right? So that's fun. And right after that, I come back and then I've got my little things which I do in
Okay.
terms of my breakfast and all that.
Wait, hang on. So, in terms of keeping yourself, powering up yourself almost every day, and that includes cycling every morning?
No. So nowadays we are playing badminton twice a week,
How many times do you cycle?
3 times a week. So that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
At 5:30 a.m. in the
5:30
morning.
a.m. Yeah, and I
And-
get back at 7.
And normal day, how far do you cover?
So if it's altogether 8, it's probably 21 clicks. 21 kilometers. Yeah, I mean, it's decent.
That is good.
For someone of my age, about 35, I think that's quite decent, right?
You're 35, come on. The hair color says it
35
all.
plus 50. No, this is a bit of a dye. Right.
So you do cycling 3 times a week, and then apart from that, you have your little badminton going.
So I must admit, that's strenuous, right? Even though I'm playing with a 50 years old now, if Amajit is listening there, right? You've seen his body, how it's transformed.
Yes.
You won't say
He's
what it
lost a lot of
transformed
weight.
from, but he lost a lot of weight, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really very strenuous. By the time I come back, I'm always just like, within half hour, I'm asleep. So, you get wet after
Right.
2 hours. So, so that makes it like 5 days a week, not too bad. Yeah. I get some good but I can't say that I do the cycling every single week consistently, but generally at least twice a week.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so I must, I can safely say that your favorite sport would be badminton.
That's right.
As well as cycling. No.
No. I used to play a lot of squash.
Squash,
but then you
yes.
can't even find a squash court now, right?
There's no squash court.
There
are
used
there?
to
There
be
is-
so
there
many.
is, like, I think.
Right? There are. In certain condos. I can't even think of a public space where there's a squash court. Really, just at the top of my mind, I can't think of
Okay.
one.
So I'm looking out and talking to my friends in Sports SG, Sports Singapore.
That's right, good place.
There might not be as many squash courts as our enthusiasts here would
I
like
wonder
to.
why. I'm just not sure what happened to that spot, right? There used to be people like Jahangir Khan and
Jahangir Khan.
Jamshed Khan,
Yeah.
right? These two, and then after that, God knows what happened to both of them.
Yeah.
Right?
And then there's a few famous Malaysian squash
That's
players
right. The
as
world
well.
champion. Of course, now she's retired. What's her name? Forgot her name.
Forgot her name as well.
Right. 'Cause
Anyway.
I focus on the men's squash, not the women's
Okay,
squash.
anyway. So for those of you who would like to find out a little bit more about mental wellness, okay, I'm going to pose a question later on. But in the meantime, I want to find out a little bit more about your books that you have written.
Right.
Okay, there are several books that you have written. And I've got the three of them here. If you can take a look at this.
Right.
It is, the first one is titled Unshakable Spirit.
So this is my second book.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This book is on resilience, and after my first book, which you probably show afterwards, that was on emotional intelligence. But the second book was written on resilience because a lot of people came to me during my classes and say, Grant, I'm trying to motivate my kids. I'm trying to motivate my husband, or even if a husband's trying to motivate the wife. And I say, I can't have access to them. So I thought maybe I could write about 14 to 15 people whom I thought were great role models for resilience.
All right.
And so what I did was look into the lives of people whom I admired. So, you get people like Steve Jobs, you get Bill Gates, you get Mandela, you get Aung San Suu Kyi, of course, a bit controversial now. Then you get the Pope, these kinds of people whom I think were great role models. So what I did was to look into their lives and pick up the best pieces, plus all their best quotations, and at the same time, what were some life lessons that one can pick up from there. And at the end, I'll pick up pieces of research based on their best values. So supposing we look at, say, Abraham Lincoln, he's a very honest person, right?
Yep.
Good values, and yet he was very persevering. Took him 8 times to be a president. So, I look into organizations and how, if organizations could practice the same values, how could they actually also experience the same levels of success as well?
Right. You talk about putting it into the organization's point of view.
Yeah.
But can it be, done by individuals as well? Can it be?
Yeah. I'm not here to sell my programs, but there's a 2-day program on resilience, and it's quite different because this one is more on motivation, but I don't put any models in there. My first book has got more models. When we look at, say, individuals, definitely, a lot of it's about an attitude, and in resilience, we don't just think about how the head thinks. It's about how you translate into action, right? Because, the best way to get into action is to get out of your head.
Right.
The problem is we're always in our head, and then, when we're at home and we're worrying about things and we're thinking and ruminating and wondering what's next and what do I do, it just goes round and round in the same circle. So the best way to get out of your head is get out of your house.
Yeah, nothing happens if you don't put action to it. Wait,
Yeah.
we're going to talk more about that, specifically resilience, right? Okay, let me bring our audience to the next book, which is Emotional Intelligence for Success and High Performance. So this is your first book?
This is my third book.
book,
This is
yeah.
my third book, which was released probably last year. No, probably 2 years ago. And I'm losing sense of time because of COVID. So it's released 2 years ago. But I just released it on Amazon as well. So this is a corporate version of my first book. My first book was based on emotional intelligence.
Okay.
But it's for the individual and how they practice emotional intelligence, because most people don't quite understand what it is. All they think about EQ is someone who's got high EQ probably is good in relationships. That's the most, that's probably one of the superficial understandings of what it is. But it's a lot more than that. A lot of it is about the intrapersonal skills. We talk about optimism, self-awareness, having a clear purpose, and about energy and effectiveness.
Okay.
Right?
All
But
right.
this is the corporate version.
All right.
Right.
And that will next bring us to this one, which I have in my home.
That's right. I'm sure you read the whole thing and finished it and probably read it again.
I'm not going to answer that.
Or use
I'm
it as
going to
a
let you
bookmark.
find out, all right? But yeah, I've got this. I've read, well,
Two
truth be
pages?
told, no, I've read 2 chapters.
Whoa.
Yeah, and don't ask me what it's all about
No, I
because I,
won't.
completely
Not here.
forgot. What's this all about?
So this is on emotional intelligence. I did come from my first organization where there's a model, and it's very much an intrapersonal. In short, all the skills which are needed from the inside. Again, self-awareness, optimism, effectiveness, emotional management is a huge one, and another 3. Talking about your patterns, a lot of other
all right.
intrapersonal skills. In short.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now, maybe you can get the camera back to us. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit more about the situation in Singapore, especially during COVID. Some people are feeling, well, I won't say they're into the depression mode at this present moment, but I've talked to a lot of people. Some of them are missing out on the connection they have between their friends, their family members because of the restriction of numbers of people. So there's a lot of, negativity and a lot of stress that's going on. Okay. For those of you who are not familiar with EQ or emotional intelligence, all right? In a very short explanation, what is emotional intelligence all about?
I didn't think I had to come up with a definition now. But if I use very lay language, it's about understanding and recognizing how your thoughts influence your feelings, and how your thoughts and your feelings will influence your behavior. Right?
Okay.
So would that be simple enough? I think that's simple enough as a kind of simple model, right?
Okay.
Yep. So how you think will influence how you feel, and how you're thinking and your feeling will influence what you do. And so I think the biggest problem is this: a lot of us get stuck in our thinking. And unfortunately, if the thinking is negative, guess what happens to the feelings? Right? So for example, you're going through a bit of a challenge, a rough patch, and you kind of get away from that thought. You're just circling around that thought. Now, obviously, those trouble thinking is going to bring you into things like either frustration, irritation, anger, boredom, listlessness, So this equates to this, and of course, it just becomes like a formula. This plus this equals how you act.
All right.
So I think some people think, however I'm thinking can never be changed, which is not true. Because when you're stuck in a situation, it's very hard to just click your fingers and say, okay, let me change where I think. But actually, we can, right? It's a choice we can choose to make about what we choose to think. Now, should I be talking about this now, or is there a next section?
No, later on. Later on.
Okay, right.
I mean, maybe you've covered that aspect. So we want to talk about mental health, right? Because one of the reasons why I want to ask you to come on down is, to appear on my show is there is an alarming number of, well, I'm one of them who during the COVID period really am, well, I don't have the opportunity for me to go out and do what I normally do. Meeting up with friends, meeting up with groups of people, and especially the mass participation events where I get to meet so many people.
Right.
And from my Facebook feed, I see some of my friends, whom I always meet last time pre-COVID period, they are giving out some hints saying that, things are not what it used to be, and posting pictures of events which they participated, mass events, sporting events or lifestyle events that they participated a long time ago, and saying that, oh, how I wish. There is a sense, I get that sense of, dejection, in them.
Yeah.
So mental health, and I want you to come in, to at least try and address these issues, right? And to see how emotional intelligence can come into place.
Okay, well, there's a lot to say about this one. So let me just, no time for sharing a story here, but I guess I'll say half a minute worth. At some point, I remember many years ago when I was in training, I was isolated from coming back home to connect with people, right? And I remember getting so used to being isolated to a point that I even forgot to socialize. And now I think this is a very ideal example of how people are put into situations where they, even though they choose to socialize, they can't. It's not like they can't, because they can obviously do it from Zoom, but you don't get the face-to-face kinesthetic connection and all that. And that becomes a problem, because when you get used to it, then you find that, okay, yeah, we all, human beings are basically creatures of habit, right? And once you get used to it, what happens is, okay, you just get very comfortable on your sofa, and you feel like, okay, why do I want to go out? And that's where the problem lies.
Right.
When you get so used to it, you don't feel like going out. When you don't feel like going out, you don't feel like meeting. When you don't feel like meeting, you become like a sociopath, you become unsociable. And that's where the problem is, because we're all human beings. We need to connect. And if we don't, that's when we get lonely from the inside, and we then start to get lonely from the outside. And that can be very unhealthy because we need connection badly.
Right.
Now, I can see people from your vocation where they're always connecting with people, so I can imagine
course.
what they might be feeling as well.
Yeah, we are social creatures, we need to be out there.
Yeah.
Let's ask some questions to our audience. Let's make it a little bit interactive. Let's turn it into our PowerPoint slide, please. Okay. Now, this is another word that is
Pivot.
Yeah,
Right.
this is another word that is always being uttered, especially during the past one and a half years. Okay. I just want to find. I mean, pivot. There are a majority of us who have gone into temporary careers in order to hang in there
Right.
while waiting for things to get better. All right, and sometimes these are things which they, don't, well, not in favor to do, but no choice, right? Bread and butter issues, right?
That's right.
Okay, so let me ask the audience out there. It's time for you to answer this question. If you can, put it onto the comment section. Is it time to pivot, or have you pivoted, right? So we want to find out, I want to find out whether you have, and tell us your experience, right? Whether it is a positive experience or something which is something which you are trying to get over and trying to make it into a positive. All right. So don't be shy. Just put down your comments, and then we'll talk about it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's bring us back to the cameras. Well done. All right. Now, challenges. Okay. Let's zoom in on the situation right now.
Right.
Okay. So we have a wide spectrum of our viewers on live stream who are in different industry, like I mentioned earlier on, who had to pivot because of bread and butter issues. Some have been affected badly, some to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, but one thing's for sure, the negative effects are that many are facing, all these challenges, and this results in negativity.
Sure.
Okay. So earlier on, while we were discussing about this, we talked about two things. First one is about optimism, right?
Right.
Let's talk about optimism in the
Okay.
first place.
So I must admit, it's not easy for some because it is quite a personality trait, right? So in a sense, you either, in a way you're born with either more optimism or less optimism. But does not mean you're born with this and that's it can't be changed. So some people are born with more, and of course they are in that way blessed. And some people are born with less. Maybe you
Okay.
got two pessimistic parents, doesn't mean that you can be optimistic even though your parents are pessimistic. Now, but it can be learned.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
It can be learned. And the thing is, if you're not familiar with it, then what happens, you just get stuck into your own way of thinking and doing stuff, right?
Right.
So if we look at the definition per se, it is about possibility thinking, right? Now, pessimists, the way they think, basically, is to look at why did this happen? Why does it have to happen? It should not have happened. So it's getting into root cause analysis. And in the whys, in the hows, they don't get into the hows. But optimists look into action. So what's next? So while they will ruminate, worry, and probably bitch a little bit, which is totally normal. I think that's very human. At least they get into action faster. And action allows possibilities. Now, one way to do that is to focus on questions, because your body is basically a tool where the minute you give an instruction, everything changes. Right? So for example, if you're thirsty, and if you don't say anything to yourself, you won't get a drink, right? So you have to say, I need to go and get a drink. And then the body moves.
All right.
So my analogy to this is you have to talk to yourself. And the way to talk to yourself is to give it definitely positive scripts which are action-based. If they're not action-based, guess what happens? It just goes round the head.
Yeah, again, what you
Yeah.
what you mentioned earlier on, right? If
Exactly.
it's going around in your head and you don't put action to it,
Right.
nothing will happen.
Exactly. So one has to say, okay, so what am I going to do next? So this part about your language is very important, optimism, how you speak to yourself, right?
All right. Okay, so I've got a nice slide to show you that talks about optimism, right?
Nice
So this
slide,
is
yeah.
something which our viewers who are experiencing some challenges during these times, some of our friends are facing this as well. So I like the picture.
Which part? On the
No,
right-hand
this
side,
the
right?
eyes. The eyes are really striking.
Beautiful, that's right.
It's like my wife's eyes.
Exactly. In fact, I was just thinking about her. You're right.
So optimism is defined as remaining positive and hopeful in unclear or ambiguous situations.
That's
I like that word, ambiguous situations, because sometimes you really don't know whether it's black or white. Sometimes it's
That's right.
in the gray part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to remain positive and hopeful. So that's optimism for you.
That's right.
Right. Okay. So whether you are a kind of a person who sees the glass
Half full.
half full, all right?
Or half empty.
And the ability. Okay, so another statement that we were talking about is, or being in a state of optimism. Is there a routine or is there something, practices in which an individual, like myself, can partake, to just boost up that state of optimism?
Okay. I mean, one thing which could be a bit of a repetition from just now is
Yes.
go and connect.
Okay.
Connecting with people is extremely
So we
important.
gotta connect.
Connect with people. Now, depends.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Look,
Okay.
now the situation is such.
Yeah.
We can't connect. I can't connect because I can't go to meet my friends.
So you can't physically connect, but we all can. You got your WebEx, you've got your Zoom, you got your phone. I must admit, during this period, I have consciously tried to do as much of that as possible because I have known in the past that whenever I get used to a routine of, for example, if I go for a long holiday, like 3 weeks, and I've been for long holidays alone,
Yes.
and I come back and I feel like I've gotten so used to just hanging around by myself, and I realize how unhealthy that gets because I don't want to get out of the house. And that becomes a routine, then guess what happens? When things get better, at least when COVID ends, fingers crossed, what's going to happen with people, especially who are in this industry, your industry, who have gotten so used to just hanging about with themselves,
Themselves, yeah.
right? And so then, maybe might a lot more difficult to do a restart or a reboot. So best thing is get used to the routine of connecting. Now, there's of course dual purposes to that. The other one is we're all human beings. We're not human doings. We're not just meant to do things. We're meant to connect. And with that connection, that's where we get confidence because why we get our thoughts validated, we get our exchange of information and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in terms of connection, the importance of being connected. Okay, so number one, to be in a state of optimism, the first thing that you need to do is to, guys, try to connect.
Get out of the house.
Get out of the house. Now it's possible because we can.
can get out of the house, that's right.
If you are vaccinated, you can get out of the house and gather maximum of 5 people.
That's right.
If not, 2 people at the hawker center or the food center.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So number one, state of optimism. The first thing that you need to practice is always stay connected. That's number one. Anything else?
Number 2. Now, in a way, it's quite similar because sometimes when you're alone and you feel you've got a problem, people don't know how to seek help. And that is help is all around. I'm meeting people who've been saddled with their problems alone for a long time until they get so desperate they finally make a call. And then they say, Grant, I've been going through this for the last 6 years. I'm like, why do you reach out now? And if only they did it earlier.
Okay.
So one of the things I think people need to do, especially if you feel, why am I feeling so low? One sign is when emotionally you feel frustrated, irritated, or when you feel you're dipping into deep sadness or sadness.
Yes.
Right? When you know you're dipping into sadness, that's a sign. So while emotions are very, what we call esoteric and very fluffy, you just have to ask yourself, I'm dipping into a space where I'm feeling very uncomfortable with myself.
Okay.
That's a sign where you need to go and seek help. And I don't mean IMH, or if you feel uncomfortable, just go to the doctor, right?
Right.
The GP, and the GP is probably going to say, okay, this is not as extreme.
Okay.
or you can always email me. Right?
So I think the takeaway point is, okay, number one is being connected, and number two, just being aware of the situation that you are in,
Yeah.
and just try to identify the telltale signs,
That's right.
and then seek help.
That's right, because going to meet people may be a bigger step, right? Of course, if you're not so friendly and you don't have much of a connection, then where are people going to meet people, right? So if those who've got many groups of friends, it's a lot easier. For those who are more introverted, I think this is where they have to ask themselves, what do? I don't have as many friends. But there's so many meetup groups, right? There are many physical meetup groups as well as there are online meetup groups. One way is to go and join all these small different courses. Because in courses, you meet people too.
What courses? Any
It can,
courses?
It can be a baking course, it can be a sewing course,
Okay.
anything. There's tons of things.
All right.
Google Analytics, any one of those things. And that's where you meet and connect with people.
All right.
Right,
Okay.
just connect.
So it doesn't matter whether you meet them physically or you meet them virtually. That helps as well,
That's
right?
right. Because
Even
one can lead
virtually.
to another, right? You can make friends online who then can become your offline friends. Right.
Okay, understand. Okay.
Right.
Now, let's get into, I like the topic of connection.
Right.
Okay, because, I mean, most of my friends and colleagues, the people whom I work with, my network of friends, we are all very, we just need to
Social
have
beings.
we just need to have that connection. We just need to touch one another, in appropriate places.
I was just thinking, all right? Yeah.
And then have a little banter, especially for those of my friends who are always taking part in various mass participation events, lifestyle or sporting events. I can feel it. I can feel it from their Facebook feed. Okay, so the question that I want to pose, if you can put it to PowerPoint slide, please, is, all right, has lack of connections
Since
COVID affected you?
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the question. Okay, since COVID, has the lack of connection affected you? And if it's so, just share us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna leave it as that. All right. We're gonna leave that question, and then just feel free to ask the questions. Answer the question and share with us on the comment section. All right. So let's talk about connection. So, like I mentioned earlier on, there's this obvious challenge in terms of connection during COVID, right? Human connection. And I'm not talking about virtual connection.
Okay.
Okay. So let's put that in perspective.
Okay.
So there's a drop in meeting up with friends, be it in your career or social activities. Okay. Even simple acts. This one interesting. Even simple acts of celebrations,
Right.
like your festive season, Hari Raya, Deepavali, Chinese New Year, all have taken somewhat, already taken somewhat of a toll. It has been affected. Number of people decrease, and you got to watch the number of visits, per day and stuff like that. Okay, so because of this, for the past 1.5 years, we start to feel annoyed. Very frustrating, right? Especially this year, it's like I remember Hari Raya. Just before that, and then there was a phase 2 or
years
something.
in a row, right? Your
Yeah,
Hari Raya has
something
got
like
hit.
that.
Yeah.
Unmotivated, or even to the brink of frustration and depression.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So, in simple layman terms, what are the steps that we need to take to try and counter this, or to try and bring this feeling of
Right.
depression or feeling of unmotivation down?
Well, basically, let me try and get this one clear. That means for people who've been meeting up before in larger groups,
Yeah.
and now they can't.
So the situation
right?
is such, right?
And so what
Yeah.
can they do instead?
Yeah, so they
Right.
can't connect. And
Right.
we're talking about, not talking about virtually, but,
Yeah. Okay. So if I look at, say, my badminton group, let's see if this is relevant.
Okay.
My badminton group used to be quite large. There were 8. If Amajit is listening again, right? There used to be like 8 people, and now.
hang on, can we have the camera back to us, please? Thank you.
All right, us,
Yeah.
right? Oh, that's
Yeah.
me. Okay, so while we used to probably have larger groups, right? In your case, of course, events is a different story, right? You can't really have events. But what we're trying to do is meet up in smaller groups, right? So, for example, our party groups, they used to be large.
Yes.
Now we probably have to meet up in in one group, and then we arrange another date for the other group.
Okay.
So we kind of take turns.
All right.
But we don't leave anyone out.
Okay.
But of course, it's very easy to leave a few people out, especially those you don't like. Just joking. All right. But in short, just taking turns by making sure it does happen, because you have to keep up that momentum.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, that's the okay. So that's one way in which we can try to make things better, lah. You
Yeah.
know, by sometimes we really miss out on that feel of connection, human connection with each other. So try. What you're saying is let's give it a try. Whatever number is allowed at that present moment, be it 2, 5, or maybe in the near future 8.
And that conscious effort to even organize it, that's always hardest, right? The thing is, well, of course, when 5 people keep quiet, nobody does it. But one person has to step up and say, hey, shall we meet up? And of course, the rest say, yeah, can. The minute you hear, yeah, can, it's possible, why not? But you require at least one person to step up and say, okay, I'm arranging this.
All right.
And then maybe for somebody else to point, next one is your turn, and make sure you put them to task. They don't, right? So make sure it's done. Action speaks louder than words. You've heard this phrase thousands of times, right?
Right.
If no one takes action, then everything is all hearsay. I'm wondering, there's a possibility, it could happen, let's see. All those kinds of phrases are quite irritating sometimes.
Okay.
Just do it.
All right. So just make it happen.
Just make it happen.
Make it happen. In the words of the Nike slogan, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in words of Adidas, says impossible is nothing.
Right.
Nothing is impossible, right? You got to do it. Like I mentioned earlier on, whether it's 2 people at one time, back many months ago, and then now it's back to 5.
That's right.
5 people gathering, and hopefully by next month we'll have a little bit of, a little bit of improvement in the situation. Maybe we can go further.
That's right.
Who knows? All right. So just do it. So anything else that we can do to make this challenge a little bit palatable?
The thing is, okay, I go back to virtual again. If you can't quite do it physically, at least try to do it virtually, right? And you've seen this is of course common enough. You get your group of friends. Of course, if you can't meet in a pub, then you just get your wine ready and let's chit chat and cheers. We've done it as a group, right? But make sure it happens frequently enough such that you don't lose contact, because it's very easy to lose that contact and momentum, and then that's it. Why somebody is saying something?
Yeah.
Right.
Good friend Jensen Pereira said. So if I like being alone, am I a psycho?
I think if it's Jensen Pereira, I think he is.
So if I like being alone, am I a psycho? As you connection is important. As connection is important. All right.
No.
So
okay.
This is a good question actually.
It is.
There are people who's just just used to, like what you mentioned earlier on, right? They're just, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that they are born that way. Their DNA states that they prefer to be alone, or they prefer to
So it's
do
a good
things.
question, Jensen. We happen to know Jensen pretty well. But he posed a really good question. Now, back to his an answer
Remarkable,
for Jensen.
isn't it?
Remarkable indeed. Salute. Right. So anyway, you know what, Jensen? So yes, there are introverts who love being by themselves or love being with a few people, right? And of course, I've noticed Jensen being very comfortable in a pub by himself, right? So, and that's great because he socializes as well. Now, the thing is, what I can say then, Jensen, on the other side is this: if you get very used to it, and you get used to just being by yourself, then that's what happens. We're all creatures of habit. You could get into a position where you probably will start to push people away. Now, but it does not happen to everyone, because if you can be flexible to enjoy your company, which I think is very important, and of course appreciate the company of other people. If you're doing both, then it's great. If you're just doing one, then that's when I think you're slipping into this part about just isolating yourself. Yeah.
Okay.
So don't get used to it, Jensen.
Okay, so Jensen, one of our commenters who commented on the page, hope that helped. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a slide in which you showed me. I think that kind of like this.
We sort of
slide,
touched on it, I think.
Yeah, this sums up the part about connection.
That's
right?
right.
So in this slide, it says connecting is it involves the head,
Right.
the heart, and the body.
That's right.
Can you expand on this a little bit?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned a phrase in the first 15 minutes, and that is, one way to get out of your head is to get out of your home, right?
That's when
And
I told you that we're gonna get into this.
That's right. And I think it's very important to get out of your head, because once you remain in the head, then it can only just circulate, right? So remember, I think we are all human beings and we can be balanced by utilizing the head, the heart, and the body. Of course, that seems esoteric. But in short, we've got feelings.
Hang on, what's the meaning of esoteric?
Not ISO, but ESO.
Eso?
Okay,
As in
esoteric.
esoteric, I
Right.
didn't say a
So
bad word.
we talk about just being fluffy, just fluffy stuff,
Airy-fairy.
Airy-fairy, that's right. So it's while it seems airy-fairy, but we all have got feelings and we all got these very busy minds, right? And the way to utilize it is basically to ensure that you are getting into action. Okay? Action, action, action. Otherwise, it's just going to be a very heady person. And that becomes a very boring person.
Right,
Very
right.
cognitive.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, so fantastic stuff. Oh my goodness, look at the time.
What's the time?
Looks like,
it's time's up.
yeah, looks like we have like the last 3 minutes or so.
Oh, God.
Time flies,
I'm
right?
supposed to shut up, I guess, at
Well,
this
this
stage.
is perfect.
Perfect?
Perfect timing.
Okay.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've got the next slide. If you'd like to get in touch, and sometimes in this situation, some viewers may not be comfortable enough to. I know this when I wanted to tackle this topic tonight. Some viewers may find it a little bit uncomfortable to share their thoughts and their challenges on Facebook. All right. So if you do have some issues, mental health issues, you're finding a little bit more, a lot of challenges in you, especially during this period, you can get in touch with Dr. Granville D'Souza. At that website, you can contact him or just Google his name. Yeah?
That's right.
Granville Edwin D'Souza. Or Granville D'Souza. You will definitely find him and get in contact. He's a very nice person.
Thank you very much.
Very approachable, very amicable, just like my, one of my sons. Yeah, very amicable person. He'll definitely try to help you out. All right, because he does this for a living for the past 24 years. Okay. All right, so I think we have run out of time, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having
Granville.
me. It was a pleasure, as usual.
Very insightful. Of course, there's a lot more to be discussed.
Yeah, 1 hour flew by, man. I just couldn't believe it's like 9:30.
Well, actually, you join us like, after 15 minutes. Yeah, so it's like
been
45
45
minutes.
minutes.
Not enough
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
So many things to talk about. Any last advice that you can give, especially to the topics that we were addressing earlier on in terms of mental health?
What I can say is it is definitely an opportune time to do something different. If you've lost the routine, if supposing even your job has changed a lot, I think this is a great time to definitely make use of the e-space. Right? Yeah, so for me, I'm really making use of that in my career, and I think I'm almost getting used to it. So I don't have to leave the home. There's so many advantages in the e-space. So talk about Zoom and all that. If you feel like your momentum with your actual job has been lost a little bit, make use of the e-space.
Yeah.
Because we just make use of what we have, right?
Yeah.
And make the best of it. And then it
Yeah.
becomes probably even better than before.
Time to practice a bit of resilience, a little bit of innovation as well.
That's right.
And that famous 5-letter word, pivot.
Pivot,
P-I-V-O-T, yeah. Okay. So that famous pivot, I've gone through it, and I must say it has been a wonderful journey. It's all in the state of mind. It's all in your mindset. It's the state of optimism that we were talking about earlier on, that you need to harness and really, really get it spot on so that you can, get by the situation easily.
I wish I could share case studies of people who pivoted, but of course we don't have time. There's so many, right? Including yourself, right? There's so many.
All right, so that signals the end of our show. Thank you so much, Granville. Thank you so much to all our viewers who have taken part and answered some questions. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So we'll see you again next week for another episode of Power Up with Ross.
Good night.
Yeah, your weekly sports and lifestyle show. Good night, everyone.
Good night.